What up, what up, what it do, everybody? How's it going? Today we're back with another talk about CyberPunk 2077, but today we're not going to do a review. Today we're just going to do some first early impressions of the game. Now, the game came out December 10th, 2020, so as of today, everybody has this game in home if they want. People have this game downloaded on their console and their PC. People are diving into the world of Cyberpunks. In some cases, people already beating the game. Now, with that being said, there is going to be some criticism when any, AAA title launches. But with Cyberpunk specifically, we've run into a couple different things here. Now, I want to go ahead and start with the positives, okay? So, RPG elements of the game are incredibly fun. I find myself getting immersed in the game, which I feel was the point of the developers. I think the first-person mode only was a good choice to make. Now, do I still wish there were some moments where I could switch to third person and, interact with the game that way? Yes, of course. But I do not hate you guys at all for your decision to make this a first-person only game. Now, next, with that, comes the customization and the skill tree. Now, when it comes to making a character play the exact way that you want, I think you have a lot of choice here. So there's 6 different main classes, and underneath these classes have their own kind of branches where you can level up different classes and skills that way. I'm not going to get too deep into what those are, but for an RPG, I think what they did there works really, really well, and I think it's fun enough to kind of help you feel like the person, the skills that you're leveling up are going to help you create, the kind of character that you want to create. So with an RPG, incredibly important. Another thing that's important there are the great weapon variety we have in the game. So tons of different weapons that play differently enough to make things different for you. On top of that, you can add different scopes, different muzzles to your guns and weapons. So adds another layer of customization there. On top of that, I'm just personally a fan of the gunplay here. It may not be, your standard Call of Duty kind of FPS gameplay, but I think they get the job done here. I have tons of fun shooting at people in the game. All the different weapon types and varieties make that even more interesting. The smart weapons, power weapons, I'm personally having a lot of fun playing with the revolver, but I digress there. So, great weapon variety, great weapons. The gunplay is good to play with. Now, that was pretty much all my positives. Actually, I'll give you one more thing there. The story. So, all of the different stories and interactions that you'll see in Cyberpunk 2077 are amazing. The main storyline, although dragging a bit at the beginning so far, it's just great. There's some great writing in here, and you can tell that developers and writers took a lot of time putting together this experience for us. So let's get a quick applaud in for them. Let's go ahead and give them a round of applause for that. Now, for things I didn't like with the game, and this is a longer list to address here. So the first thing here is actually the driving. The driving in the game sucks. The driving is stiff, kind of laggy, unresponsive, and it's just not a good experience. If you've ever played the Mafia 3 game or some games like that, the driving in there is what I would compare it to. Not very fun to do. You kind of get used to it. I felt that driving on a motorcycle was a little more fun to do, but I think honestly when it comes to driving in a game, or really with any gameplay, it's more of a personal preference. So let me know in the comment section what you thought about the driving. Like I said, me personally, not really a fan of that one there. Now, also, if you look at the screen here, we have the customization for the character creator. So notice how earlier I said I think they do a great job at letting you create the exact kind of character you want to play as, right? And I'm talking specifically about the gameplay itself. Now, if you want to create a character that looks like you, right? Aesthetically, visually, look at the screen. We see this woman here. It looks like somebody in real life, you would presume, right? So, for me, I went to go create a black male in the game. To my surprise, there were 12 skin shades, shades of color for skin, but with all those different skin colors, only 2 would apply for black people, right? So there were 2 shades that they had. One was kind of a light skin, Jesse Williams kind of skin tone, which, let's be honest, not a lot of people are light brights. And then second on top of that, we had another one where it's just like if you've ever played the Dark Souls games and tried to make a black person, you know how it's kind of dark and has a bluish kind of hue to it? It was like that. I didn't think that they did too well with the character creator. when it comes to making black characters, and that's something that we need to address in this games industry. I thought that with this AAA industry, hopefully this game would, would think about those progressive deals there. I thought that with all they did for the LGBTQ community, with helping them feel represented in the game, I thought that it would just kind of come with the tone here that you would give more than 2 black skin tones. I don't know about you, but I've seen more than 2 types of, black skin tones in my life. And I'm pretty sure all the people in Poland who developed this game have seen more than 2 kinds of black people before. And that brings me to my next point, which is the hair. Now, you can kind of get over the skin tone thing and still try to make someone who looks like you, with their eyes, their nose, the way their mouth looks, whatever. Now, when you get to the hair, right, they did have more than 2 black hairstyles. I will say that. But with that being said, and I'm talking from the perspective of a black man, now, with those hairstyles, right, if you're not bald, all of them were dreadlocks. All of them were dreadlocks. Now, if you're black and you're listening to this, I'm not trying to make this a race thing. I don't think their intention here was to do something that was malicious or offsetting to a specific race. I do not think that was the goal of CDPR here. Do not, make that inference off what I'm saying. What I'm saying here is that there was a lack of decision making or social awareness to the demographic that would be playing this game. I'm not saying it's all black people playing this game. I'm saying it's everyone playing this game. This was a heavily marketed AAA game, right? A lot of people knew about this game, and you can expect that more than just 10 Shades of White played this game, right? So come on, if you can make 10 different shades of white, you can make more than 2 shades of black. I won't stay on that for too long, but that's how I felt about the character creator. Now, I say that because this is the first thing you experience when loading up the game, right? Your very first time interacting with Cyberpunk, you're going to get to the title screen, you're going to click what life path you want to do, and the very first thing that you really get to put your foot on is this right here, the character creator. And the character creator just didn't do it for me. It didn't. I'm sorry. I can't create someone who looks like me, and that's enough of that. Next thing I want to go ahead and talk about is once you get through the character creator, you get thrown into the game. And man, like I said before, I really enjoy this game. This is a really, really fun experience, a really fun RPG. Is it reinventing, redefining what it means to be an RPG on next gen? Hell no. It's not doing that at all. But what it set out to do, which is give you very emotional, meaningful stories, it actually does. But when you're trying to play that, and all you're seeing is, people clipping through cars and weird light textures, everybody looks like they're made out of silly putty or clay, there's frames dropping, there's gameplay issues, you can't finish specific missions, it's atrocious. Look at this, it's atrocious. Now, I know that when they were showing the gameplay, CD Projekt Red only really showed PC gameplay. And then on top of that, you had multiple popular news outlets. I'm talking about the GameSpots, the IGNs, those kind of things. The only gameplay footage they were allowed to share with us, our normal viewers who weren't allowed to get their hands on the game, they were only allowing them to share gameplay that they, CDPR, recorded, right? So we didn't have any actual gameplay of this game, that was coming from the hands of actual gamers trying to play the game. We're only getting developer footage here. On top of that, the reviewers, so the IGN reviewers and whatnot, were only allowed to play the PC version of the game. So nobody experienced the ugliness that a lot of people playing on console have been playing with. So like I said, to add to the list of bugs there, you have your general bugs, things not working, voices not coming through, but you have tons of graphical issues. You have tons of frame drops, tons of screen glitches, people not being there, going in and out of solid objects, just things not making sense, missions not completing, which is an issue that I've had on 2 separate occasions. One time I've been able to fix it with the reload. Other time I just can't do that mission, so I'm waiting for them to patch that, so hopefully I can beat that. Now the biggest thing here for me, now I'm playing this on a PlayStation 5, so theoretically I should be playing on one of the best console experiences possible. I have a 4K HDR TV. I'm playing this on a PlayStation 5. You're on the same boat here if you're playing this on a high-end PC. We're not talking about you. Or if you're playing on the Xbox Series X. For console, we are still having a lot of these problems. So if me playing on the best console experience is still having a problem where I'm having all these weird graphical issues, I can't finish missions, and my game is crashing every 30 minutes, that's bad. That's bad. Now, this game was in development for the better part of 8 years. Now, that's not to say for all 8 years they were sitting behind a desk, typing away code in a computer to create this game. No, it's not what I'm saying. But this game was announced 8 years ago, and they've been, quote-unquote, working on this game ever since. So whatever that means, you've been working on this game for 8 years, and we still have all these issues. Now, notice what just happened here on the screen. They were driving, trying to hit a waypoint, and they missed it. Another gripe about the game is this mini-map. It's not zoomed out far enough. You can't see shit. The map really just shows you it's about 150 meters in front of you. When you're going fast, it's not enough to make a good judgment with the turn and call, and that might be nitpicking, but it's the truth. Now, I feel like this game maybe should have came out in April 2021. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am a huge fan of delays. But what I'm not a fan of is wasting my time. I'm not a fan of half-ass efforts. I'm not a fan of tricking people into paying $60 for something that you knew wasn't complete. Now, that being said, it was about a week or two before the game launched. I remember the joint CEO, Adam Kaczynski of CD Projekt Red even said that the game runs, quote-unquote, surprisingly well on last gen's base hardware. This game has always, I repeat, this game, CyberPunk 2077, has always been marketed for the PlayStation 4 in the Xbox One. Okay? Until earlier in 2020, they didn't make the decision until earlier this year to sell the game on next generation consoles as well, as a port, right? So there is no excuse for this game to not be working, to not look well, to not run well on anyone's console, anyone who buys the game. Now, granted, for example, I was playing GTA 5 the other day. The game came out 7 years ago. Still plays and looks magnificent. 10 times better than whatever CDPR gave to us. I'm just not getting it. The new game Watch Dogs Legions that came out, I played that game through and through. Looks better than this. Now, I'm not going to say that there's not times where this game doesn't look beautiful, because it does. And I'm not saying I'm giving up on this game, because I'm not. The game is fun. But these bugs are just unacceptable. I really don't get what's going on with this. We need to start holding these game companies accountable, and I think to a degree we've started to. If this were EA, if this were Bethesda, giving us, if this were Rockstar, God forbid, giving us an experience like this, they'd be crucified. Hell, when EA did this with Battlefront, there was legislation introduced to put an end to what they were doing. To add another layer to that, think about one of the worst experiences I played in the last couple of years, Anthem. Think about how they oversold that game and the huge disappointment. When you release a game like this, with bugs and issues, there is a percentage of players who will not come back. You can't get around that. There's a percentage of players who will not come back to partake in your game's experience because they're mad. Another game, example, No Man's Sky. A great game now. But a lot of people, myself included, refuse to play that game again because of the lies told by Sean Murray and the rest of Hello Games and the experience we were given at launch. Some things you can't come back for. Some things are not worth the stain on your reputation. You guys were on your high horse with The Witcher. You could have stayed there with this, but instead you became a meme. Hey, I think from here, all we need to talk about is what does CDPR do next? How do they regain our trust? Now, me personally, I don't think this is going to be something where, 2 years later, Anthem, we don't have the full experience yet. I think CDPR is going to work diligently to keep updating patches with this game. I think they're going to keep working on this game to make it something that we all love. I know that they have DLCs planned to come out in 2021. I know there's more here. And I know they're not going to give up on it. I think the real question here is, how does CDPR respond? I think that's what makes all the difference here. If they respond well, then good. But if they don't, I don't know. And actually, let's talk about that. Recent news, CDPR has announced that they have been refunding some players on Sony for the game here. CDPR recently released a statement on Twitter apologizing for the state of the game, apologizing for the lack of care shown to the PlayStation and Xbox base model versions of this game. Whatever this apology means to you, I'm not sure. I'm not going to read through the entire apology. I'll let you guys look that up for yourselves. But I say all that to say, the next 6 months of this game will make or break the experience for thousands, maybe millions of people who plan on playing this game. Now, I know if they don't fix this, I'm not coming back. I'm sick of it at this point. I know a lot of you are too. We pay a lot of our hard-earned money on these games, on these experiences, and there's just no excuse for a game to be released in this state. So with that being said, I'll let you dwell on those thoughts. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Again, this is Black Mantra. Welcome to Feed Me Tech. I appreciate your support here. Everyone, as usual, tell someone you love them today, and have a great day. See you soon.